meeting of October 12th at 2021. At this time, please silence all electronic devices and mute your microphones. Please rise for the invocation and pledge.
O merciful Creator, your hand is open wide to satisfy the needs of every living creature. Make us thankful for your loving providence, and grant that we, remembering the account that we must one day give, may be faithful stewards of your good gifts. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
District 2,
Here.
Commissioner Moore. District 3, Commissioner Starkey.
Here.
District 4, Commissioner Fitzpatrick.
Here.
District 5, Commissioner Mariano.
Here.
District 1, Chairman Oakley.
Here. Now is the time for public comment. Citizens are given an opportunity to comment on any item coming before the board and on items to be in a future board agenda or other business under their purview. Today's public comment will be handled as follows. First, we will take public comment from those who are here in person. Then we will take public comment from those who have been pre-registered on WebEx link and are currently on queue. This format does not waive the request that when you address the board, comments are not directed personally against a commissioner or team member, but rather directed to the issues. And this provides mutual respect between the board members and the public. For WebEx and in-person participants, after stating your name and address for the clerk, the timer will sound. The timer will be activated and will start a countdown. After 2 minutes, a beep will sound, letting you know that you have 1 minute remaining. After time is up, 2 beeps will sound, and 3 minutes. That means your 3 minutes have passed, and wish for you to complete your comment. WebEx participants will be automatically, their time will stop at 3 minutes and they will be cut off. All right, do we have someone signed up?
We have in person Janie Dombrowski.
Yep.
Janine, I'm sorry.
State your name and address for the clerk.
Janine Dombrowski, 5550 Front Drive, Holiday, Florida, 34690. I'm here today to follow up on that email that I sent you. I haven't returned, you haven't returned any of them, called me or sent me. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Well, last meeting, you told me to reach out to you and send you an email with my information, and we'd have coffee, and you look forward to working with me.
Okay.
And I never heard anything back, so I came to give you my business card. That way you could just call me.
My assistant's right back there who should have answered your email. Derek, stand up. Please get with her and set up a meeting. Yeah, I
Okay,
do want to.
great, I appreciate that. Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
long drive to make that happen. Also too, there's some issues that I noticed on social media with a woman that was stalked in Starkey Park by men. She was very distraught. It's a very detailed story. I know that she is not making it up. She was warning other women that go to Starkey Park. Also, in Tampa, there was a bus stop that was full of immigrants to be released. So again, same as last week or last 2 weeks, it's getting worse. We can see it getting worse. Also concerned about the missing people, the people that go missing, and the lack of investigation that's being done. There was a mom that was missing for about 3 months, and not much of an investigation was done, and then she was found dead in Port Richey. And there was no follow-up either as far as the news goes, like what happened to her, how she died, what the circumstances are. God is leading my heart, and this is a problem here in Pasco County. And if we don't do anything, it's just gonna get worse. And it could be your child, it could be your grandchild, it could be your wife. I mean, I shouldn't be scared to go to Starkey Park, but now I am. This woman was stalked by 2 men. Do we need to have security? We need to solve these problems. These need to be very, very important for everyone. I don't care about all the building. We need to care about human lives. Thank you.
Do you mind giving me your card too? Do you have two? I just want to look up your email. And then please meet with Derek in the back.
Mr. Chairman, we do not have anyone else signed up here, nor am I aware of anyone online.
Okay. So we did have one person that called, said they're running late, but they're not here at this time. If they come shortly, we may come back to it just for that person to speak. But
Just ask if there's anybody that hasn't.
is anybody in the audience wish to speak that did not sign up? Seeing no one, at this time we'll close public comment. We'll move on to our consent agenda. And I have a pull sheet with C4, discuss, C5, pull, discuss, C15, revise, C26, withdraw, C37, revise, C45, revise, and C46, revise. What's the pleasure of the board on the
For the
remaining?
consent agenda.
Second.
Got a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion passed 5-0 on balance items on consent agenda. We'll move on to C4. Mr. Steinsteiner?
Mr. Chairman, C4 and C5 are both my items. The title on your agenda should have read "Reject Proposed Settlement of Plaintiff," as the memo did. The way Civic Clerk picks it up from the template, it just showed proposal of settlement. So both of those are rejection of the proposal of settlement.
Move for approve C4 as revised.
Second.
Got a motion and a second on C4. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Move for approve
All opposed,
C5
like
as revised.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion and a second on C5. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Both motions 4 and 5 pass 5-0. Move on to C15. Revise.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. Andrew Baxter, Facilities Management Director. This is to revise item C15, which is related to the design services for Wiregrass Ranch Sports Campus Phase 2. We need to update page 16 related to the reimbursables, and we also need to update page 18 related to the amount of the agreement, correcting a scrivener's error
Move
there.
for C15 as revised.
Got a motion?
Second.
Second.
A second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion passed 5-0.
Thank you.
C26 is withdrawn, so we move on to C37, pull and revise.
Morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Mike Carvalho, Assistant County Administrator for Public Infrastructure. On item C37, the date of the effective date of the agreement, as well as the signature parties, have changed in the agreement. Otherwise, everything remains the same.
Move to approve C37 as revised.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, like sign. Motion passed 5-0. C45, pull and revise.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Keith Wiley, Parks, Recreation, Natural Resources. We had to update the distribution section and also update the Exhibit A to include some maps that the district added at a later date.
Move approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion passed 5-0. C46, pull and revise.
Good morning, Commissioners. Paola Baracaldo, Sports Services. We're here revising the list of the names that were originally submitted to you for the opioid task force, specifically for seats number 5, 6, and 9. For seat number 5, we are changing the name to Deputy Chief to the City of Newport Richey Police Department, Lauren Latona. For seat number 6, Trank Chickatone, Administrative Services Director. And for seat number 9, the Honorable Judge Sean Crane.
Move for approval as revised.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion passed 5-0. Thank you. Okay, that concludes the consent agenda. We have no resolutions today, so we will move into regular agenda. The R47.
That's your quarterly update from the Pasco Economic Development Council.
Morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board, Mike Bishop, Pasco Economic Development Council. I'm here to present our quarter 4 update as well as our entire fiscal year roundup. So I'll go ahead and get started.
You're gonna turn that microphone up if we can.
All right. Better?
Yes.
All right.
Better.
They turned you up.
All right. Next slide, please. So I'll dive right into our business recruitment lead pipeline. So you'll see that we still have a very active pipeline. We're working 63 projects right now. Our successes in the recruitment side, we have 7, and that really spans over logistics, life science, high technology, advanced manufacturing. Advanced manufacturing continues to be a major source of leads and active projects for us, so we're excited to keep that trend going. Next slide. So here's a recap of our wins as well as our capital investment and jobs. So you'll see that in the previous slide it was 7. This 9 number includes our expansion projects here in the county as well. So you'll see our capital investment was close to $250 million. And a little shy of our goal of 1,100 in jobs, but we're at 1,087. Next. So a little snapshot on our business retention and expansion program. You'll see that things are really starting to get back to normal in this kind of post-lockdown COVID world. So training programs delivered, you'll see we hit that number. Our company visits is pretty much dead on. So we are back out meeting with our companies, working with them, and delivering them the resources that they need. Next slide. This is a little snapshot of our events attended. So things are still getting there as far as events increasing, but we are making sure that we're getting out in the community. Some of the highlights here on the left-hand side are some of the national conferences that we've attended. So the AUVSI, that's the Association of Unmanned Vehicle Systems International. So that ties into our aviation target industry. Tom Ryan was able to attend that. SIOR, that's Society of Industrial Office Realtors.
What's wrong with our speaker?
What's that?
Speaker doesn't sound right.
You can't hear anything?
No, it's just,
Now we
it's
can
just
hear you,
weird.
it's just an issue with it. So.
Okay, maybe my voice, sorry. NAOP, that's the National Association of Industrial and Office Parks. That conference happened as well. And our Southeastern Economic Development Council, that was the first picture there. You'll see we received the award for our team up video. That was the joint effort with Florida Sports Coast. So, next slide, please. Speaker's still weird? Is it any better?
No, you're okay.
Okay, all right, cool. So just wanted to highlight some of our marketing efforts this year as a whole. So as you know, we added to our marketing department. We have a second person in our marketing department, and it really stands to say all the earned media that we've earned this year. So quarter 4 was almost $700,000 itself, and you'll see that we had $2.5 million earned media for the year. Next slide. Really cool stat here is that close to 90% of our users on our website are new users. So that's showing that our marketing efforts and lead generation and getting us out there to new people that are looking to move or people that are interested in our services has really on the upside. Next slide. Just another snapshot here. So over 9,000 audience, over 200,000 impressions. You'll see the video views boosted by more content that we've done with our Smart Start program and that Florida Sports Host video as well. Next slide. Highlight on our financial growth here. So we have a total of 87 investors now. What's really exciting is the board and policy council members that have increased. You'll see on the right-hand side there, we have a Santander, one of our major projects for the previous year that has joined our policy council, as well as Bank of America, that's become an investor. Homes by West Bay has actually become a board member. E-Assessments Inc., the Seth McGrath, CBRE, and Phillips and Jordan, which has also become a policy council member. So it's a very exciting time for our board and our policy council, having a very good mix of individuals in there to give us their, share with us their expertise and leadership. Next slide. So some just leadership highlights. I already mentioned the board and policy council members. Our task forces, as you know, our bylaws require us to have 2 task forces every year. So the Sustainability Planning Task Force has concluded, and that report is underway to come up with good guidelines on long-term sustainability for our penny programs. And the Reshoring Task Force is also coming to a close as they identify trends and understanding how we could potentially reshore, relocate companies that have production overseas and bring it back a little bit. Policy Council working on ULI, revisiting that TAP study, so that's very exciting. And also the CEO Roundtable, which has been somewhat dormant the past couple of years, has been reimagined into the Executive Success Program, which we'll see in your slides, which is a more inclusive monthly curriculum that's helped to increase engagement with these executives in the area, not just the CEOs, but all across the C-suite. Next slide. And just some of our upcoming events. So Meet the Members is a new event for us. That's an opportunity to, we're inviting our investors to meet our incubator members. You'll see in the penny presentation here, we're actually at 34 incubator members right now, which is an all-time high. So very excited to introduce the investors to them. Economic Forecast Luncheon already around the corner again in January, looking at a date on Growth Pasco, which is an event for our entrepreneur ecosystem. And Team Up is getting reimagined as well into fun corporate field day. So we've had initial conversation with Florida Sports Coast, and we're excited to get that going as well. So with that, I'll stop and ask any questions on the MOU presentation.
Any questions?
I got one quick question.
Okay.
Actually, 2. On the graph you showed, you had a big jump going through, and then the new 8.9, I guess, thousand new members. What do you attribute that big jump to?
Was that, which members were you mentioning?
If you want to go back a few slides.
Okay, go back a little bit. Are you talking about investors?
Maybe the audience went up. Go to the slide before that.
Right here.
All right, so you got 89% of new users, and then the graph on that page right there
Right.
shows a huge jump. What do you attribute that spike in both those numbers?
Yeah, so that should align with our Team Up video that we did with Florida Sports Coast. That's right there. It's pretty small for me there too, but I believe that's May and June, if I'm reading that correctly.
Yep.
And that was right around when we held that Team Up event, and we had that release of the joint video that we did with Florida Sports Coast.
And later on, there's another spike that's right up at the end.
That one in September. I know there's been a lot of buzz around the crate and everything that's happening with the Grove. I know that there's an increase in Smart Start, content that's coming out, YouTube videos. So it really has to do with an increase in shorter videos, social postings, and getting out there and promoting the different programs.
Okay. And I bet you got October 26th coming up, Meet the Members.
Yes.
Any reason you schedule on a Tuesday when we've got a board meeting?
That was a time that fit well with the crate, or I'm sorry, with the Grove, and because we are holding that at the incubator itself. So we're trying to be respectful of the incubator members' time and making sure that we can have something that fits well. That's in the evening, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. That is a 5 to 7:30 event.
Well, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
just to follow up on Commissioner Mariano, what's the date on that again?
October 26th.
On a Tuesday. So I will say, considering this board and how much work they've done and staff's work they've done on that project, more than anybody,
Right.
you need to change that.
Okay.
I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
There should be an opportunity
Yeah.
for the board, especially the district commissioner, that is now the chairman, to be able to be at that site for something so monumental than this. That's something that just has to be, I'm not trying to throw you under the bus, but that's something that has to be thought about. And you got staff members out here in the, just development side and the planning side that work very closely Heck, I remember the first time that they purchased the thing, and I sat in a room with every staff member there, prior to them knowing that it was Commissioner Oakley's district, because people, you know, forget sometimes whose is who, but yeah, that should be something that should be arranged prior with these commissioner schedules prior to being ever scheduled. So I would highly suggest rescheduling that.
Understood.
Yep.
Yeah, I can take that back and get with.
Yeah,
all
that's
your
just
council
kind of
stuff.
direction from us to reschedule that.
I would like to add a comment too. Just kind of being the de facto voice for manufacturers moving to the county and all the program that we've started. I definitely used to be really involved in preliminary conversations when manufacturers were moving here. And I feel like that's kind of dropped off a little bit. So I think it would be good for that to continue to be reestablished.
Understood.
Okay.
Yes.
Everything? All right, thank you.
Well, I'll move on to the Penny presentation really briefly. I'll just go over the highlights, and the rest of it is in your packet.
Okay.
You can go over to the next slide, please. So just a highlight on ready sites. So we're currently at 7 sites over 2,100 acres. That 8th site has been assessed and invited into the program, so we're pending on that. Coming up, we have the trade mission to Germany, so that's in November. We did hold a virtual UK trade mission in September, had over 40 attendees, and it was a very successful virtual event. Enhanced marketing, you'll see, like I mentioned previously, the SCDC award for the video that we put together for Sports Coast. We also received 2 IEDC awards, so that's very, very great for us. That's our peers and a great economic development organization. As well as, like I mentioned, some of the Smart Start video testimonials that have been put together. Next slide. Workforce Connect, so we had 43 primary target industries that were assisted, and here in Pasco County with Workforce Connect. The Executive Success Program I mentioned previously, and Smart Start, like I spoke about, is really taken off, and that is at 34 incubator members right now, which is a high point, and we continue to move forward on that program. So I'll stop there. The rest of it's in your sheet there, unless you want me to go over anything specific.
Mr. Chairman, a question, and I just texted Jenny. I know she's been waiting to see the text of the friendship agreement that we're going to be signing with Gemmersheim. And Jack, you were on the board when our German friends from that area came here, I don't know, 5 years ago or so. Seems like yesterday. And also Kurt Browning, Michelle Baker, and I traveled there. I don't remember how long ago. Also for a visit, and we have a school board administration here today. Some of you may or may not know that this area of Germany sends students to Pasco County. They go to River Ridge High School and take German classes, and we send students over there, although frankly, we haven't paid enough attention to that, and I would like to put more effort into helping our students have that experience to go over there. Of course, with COVID, it probably didn't happen. But we also had 2 students from River Ridge who did a summer internship in that area with the Mercedes truck manufacturing plant there. And so it's a great experience for our students to be able to go over there and for their students to come here. And so we're very excited. This will be the first agreement that we're doing with another country. And I don't have the text yet, so I know that we're waiting to see what that kind of looks like. I'll be bringing that to the board. I'm hoping I can bring it today, maybe the end of the day, if not October 29th. And then we'll be doing the formal ceremony over there. So do you know, you probably don't know.
I've seen the agenda. I'm not familiar with the text though.
Okay, so it wasn't ready to present yet, so, but that's exciting.
Yeah. All right,
All right. Any other
thank you.
questions? All right. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Before we go on to the next item, I'm going to open public comment back up for one person that had called in that wants to come speak to us. And we'll do that, and then we'll get right back on the regular items. So, what's the lady's name? No. Is it Mrs. Stour or? Stallier. Okay.
I am so sorry for being late. There was an accident on 19, so I got held
Okay.
up. You guys probably know what I'm coming here to talk about.
Name and address.
Tanya Salyer, 10700 Philly Lane.
Okay.
After about a week or so of rain, effectively, the road is mostly clear. We still have a tremendous amount of water overflowing out of the swamps. If you guys have been out there, you know that. Mother Nature managed to clear up a lot of the flooding before you guys made a decision on what to do. Just because the water is dry does not mean we don't have a problem anymore. We began counting the county in April of this last year for this last round of flooding, and our emails and phone calls have gone unanswered. I've emailed just about everybody who I could find, including Mr. Mariano and Mr. Carabella, and I have no idea what you guys are doing about it. Absolutely none. Our vehicles have suffered damage. Our neighbor is still having to park across the street in order to get to their house. We have suffered damage to our driveways, and our yards do remain flooded. One of my neighbors cannot get to his livestock. I don't want to be doing this again next summer. This is not the highlight of my month, put it that way. I'd like to know what the county is doing and what the next step is and why we aren't being treated like other communities in Pasco County. I'd like to know what happened to all of the promises that were made. I have multiple emails that dating back to 2019 that were promising you guys would do something and nothing was ever done. In 2019, the flooding cleared up on its own, as it does once we start hitting a more sunny period. I would like to know what can be done so this doesn't happen again. And that, I'm sorry for interrupting, and I decided to make it really, really brief this time. You guys have a wonderful day.
All right. Thank you for your comments.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
And, you know, we've talked about this, we're doing a study in their area, it takes time to go through, we've been out there, staff's done a lot of work out there. It hasn't been to this satisfaction as far as pumping in some areas where we say we can't pump or not. But maybe if you would, before you leave, Mike Carabella and the team, maybe you sit down with them and review what we have, what we are doing, what we have done, what we plan to do. Thank you.
Okay.
Commissioner Mariano, I have a question. Do you know what the elevation of the houses are there?
It's very low, and it's the bottom of a basin that the water goes there. I mean, years ago, when I first got elected, 2004, when the hurricanes were going on, they were actually pumping on Philly Lane up the hill, and the water would come right back down the hill. So
Okay.
It's a challenge at the elevation.
It is a challenge. We're working on it, but it's going to take a while
All right.
to study it to find out what's the best long-term thing to get the water to go.
Okay.
In some areas, it's not going to go.
Right.
But staff will be happy to talk with you and show you exactly what we're doing.
Now we're going back to, we've closed public comment. We'll go back to R49, and then we'll do R48 after R49. Welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Justin Ressler, Solid Waste Director. R49 is an introduction of an ordinance amending the Pasco County Code of Ordinances, Chapter 90, Article 2, Solid Waste Collection and Disposal, Section 90-48, rates for collection service. There is no funding required. Next slide, please. So currently in Pasco County, rates for commercial collection service are governed by the county, and the way that that works is there's a fixed cap based on the size of the dumpster and the frequency that it's pulled. The last time that this rate ceiling was revised was in 2009. So over the past 12 years, we've seen that the cost for our commercial and residential haulers have continued to grow. And when you look at the relevant price indices, we've seen over a 20% jump since the commercial rate cap was last revisited in 2009. So at this point, in order to ensure the viability of commercial waste collection in Pasco County, we've got to look at revising the solid waste ordinance. Next slide, please. So the proposed ordinance introduction that we're presenting here would remove the commercial rate ceiling for waste collection. And this is really standard practice throughout the state. In the majority of Florida counties, you either have commercial waste collection that's competitively bid through a franchise system, or it acts as an open market. And I will point out that a number of counties who practice a franchise system do have an open market for commercial waste collection. So counties like Hillsborough, Polk, Marion, Pinellas, all essentially operate under the system that we're proposing to introduce into the ordinance today.
Mr. Chairman, I hate to interrupt, I just have a question for you. I'm just curious, since it's an open market, why is the county even involved on the rate structure? If we're talking about a free market, an open market on a commercial side of the retail, the commercial side of things, why are we even involved?
That's what we're looking to change here today, what we need to get out of that, sorry.
Yeah, well, I guess that was just the question. Why are we though? Why have we been and why are we, you think?
I think historically when the county was smaller, there were less haulers in there.
Yeah.
It was a different situation. You didn't have the type of competition that we see now.
Yeah, I mean, free market's free market.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
And just another point is, Hernando County is also open market.
Are they? Okay. Thank you. Didn't want to just trying to figure out how we even got there.
So this was sort of kind of move us up to date with the people that are around, the communities that are around us. This would not do anything to impact the residential rates or the residential level of service. Next slide, please. So with that, the department recommends accept the proposed amendment to the Pasco County Code of Ordinances, Chapter 90, Article 2, entitled Solid Waste Collection and Disposal, Section 90-4, Rates for Collection Services. Direct the Solid Waste Department to advertise the proposed revisions for public hearing before the Board of County Commissioners on October 26, 2021 at the West Pasco Government Center. Boardroom.
Mr. Chairman?
Questions?
Yeah, just real quick again. I'm supportive, but I want to go back and show me where we're being actually 100% pulled out of this process.
So the ordinance is actually, and I can grab the text real quick, it's actually amended to strike through the section that regulates the commercial.
Okay, so we're just doing a strike through?
Yes.
Okay, move for approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion passed 5-0. Thank you, Justin. Now we move forward to Arc 48.
Yes, sir. I'll be leading the discussion on that. So as part of the every I guess 10 years, decade, Census does a census. We got those numbers for Pasco County back in August, and so at the board's direction, we sat and talked to each of you individually as far as how would you like to see the new districts drawn, how would we like to adjust them based on the new population in the way the population came into Pasco County. And so after meeting with y'all individually, probably 2-3 months ago, right after we got the maps, or after we got the population, we came up with one option, and then there were 3 other options that have been that we've been asked to draw based on input by specific district commissioners. And so what I'd like to do is we'll pull up the option 1 on the screen, and I think you have hard copies 11 by 17 of all the options.
But they're not numbered.
They should be at the bottom.
Bottom.
Entitled 1, 2, 3.
Oh, okay, never mind.
You got it. Yeah.
So I'll start off with the census population as of April 1st, 2020 for Pasco County was 561,891. I think we all recognize that was week 3 of the pandemic before we started setting sales records. I am not sure how comfortable I am with that number, but that's the number published by U.S. Census. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
It's more like 660.
Let's say that you missed 50,000, right?
So,
we're underpaid.
So with that, we have,
That's what they're doing.
after we sat down with each of you, and each of you gave us feedback on what you'd like to see with respect to your district, we kind of combined all that and kind of tried to come up with a compromise map, which is what I would call my preferred option, because that's one based on feedback from everybody, and that's the one that's on the board here. And so I will go 1 to 5, and I'll do these on this one, because in general, the districts for District 1 and 2, the proposed districts really don't change in any of the other options. So I'll start off here. We'll start off at 41 in the county line for District 1. And this is obviously the east boundary for District 5. And what we tried to do is follow major arterials collections as best we could, balance it as best we could with population and our geographical features, i.e. there's one place where we follow a river. And so, we start up here, 41 down to 52, then you go out 52 to Old Pasco Road, down Old Pasco Road overpass, across 75 to Boyette, then straight down to 54, and we don't make that little jog that Boyette does. We keep going on, I think, Van Dyke.
So that's
Van
just
Dyke. I
one?
can't remember the name of the road. It's there. To 54, then 54 out to River Glen Boulevard, up to Hancart, down Eland, Morris Bridge, back to the county line, and then you see the rest of what District 1 would look like as the county line.
Is there a pointer? Are you showing a pointer?
On here, but not on your screen.
Wow, I can't see
Up
that.
there.
That's
So-
really bad. I see
I can't
nothing.
see.
So I'm not gonna,
Be like Commissioner Wells and be colorblind.
well, it's blue, so we're good.
Yeah, I don't see it. I
So
have
I'll
to get
start
my-
here at 41 and 52, where we actually have 4 districts meet for District 2. So District 2 follows the same line as District 1 down to the county line, then across County Line Road to Collier Parkway, up Collier Parkway to 54, 54 to 41, and then 41 back to 52
Okay, so
is District 2.
41 is the divider.
Yes, except for the one little small piece here that we need to move over to balance the district. So District 3, I'll start at Suncoast Parkway in the county line. Goes up Suncoast Parkway to the Anklet River, and we follow the Anklet River to the back of Aristida, then up and around Aristida, up Starkey Boulevard to River Crossing down to Little down to Old County 54, or County Road 54. That across to 54, then up Rowan to Trouble Creek, and Trouble Creek out to its current boundary of US 19. And then it follows the current boundary up and then out. So District 4 will start, so same as District 2 to the county line over to Suncoast up to Anklet River, around Aristida, up Starkey Boulevard to River Crossing to Little, and then the same route all the way back to 19. Then it follows the current line up to Ridge out to County Road 70. I think that's
Regency.
Regency, thank you. Up to San Miguel Boulevard, that out to Little Road up to 52, and 52 out to 41. Again, as best we could, tried to stay with major roads and not necessarily split up subdivisions, but you can't do all that. And then District 5 Commissioners, everything else. I could go through that if you want, but effectively,
He's good with that.
yeah, what we try to do as best we can. You see right here at San Miguel and Ridge, we couldn't get down to Ridge because we needed that population in 4, not 5. And then up and around here, we brought out Trouble Creek to Rowan because I needed that in 3. And so there are a couple places where we're not necessarily on arterials, we're on collectors, but as best we could, we tried to stay on major roads and our major geographical features and balance the population. You'll see on this one, the population, the difference between the largest and smallest district is less than 2%. So a really tight number for that. And again, this is the one we tried to build based on all the feedback we got initially from the whole board, which is why I call it the preferred option, because it's kind of, well, what I would say is we took all your input into a blender, mixed it up, and kind of came out with this. I know it's not necessarily perfect, but it's what we could do to best balance the population across the county based on the feedback you gave us, and make it reasonably easy to describe what your district boundaries are to a member of the public or somebody in the community, right? Tried to make it as easy as possible. So any questions on that?
That's good.
All right, so I'll go through the,
Mr. Chairman?
yes, sir.
I'm just going to say one thing. We'll get to the end of it, but just
Yeah.
in my district, and I agree with the seamlessness. I actually forgot about one neighborhood that I've spent a lot of time with the water, the summer tree department. and it's right below 52. I knew they were cutting the Moon Lake out, and I think that was smart to do it because one commissioner there should handle that whole thing coming through, and I think that's good to set that up. And I think as Bexley grows, District 4 is going to explode anyway. But that Summer Tree area, I don't mind picking up the extra population in the sense of that water issue is still a private utility out there. I've spent trips up there with the bus. I don't mind taking the extra population even to monitor it, but I just hate to lose that part of it. And the only description is going to be with the people to say, where's my district is along 52, including Summer Street.
And also, I do have Jeremy here from GIS, and so if you have specific, what I'd ask is, let's kind of resolve ourselves to one option, and then if you have some specific tweaks you want to make to that option, then we can run those numbers. I would prefer not to do it in the meeting. I let him go out, work on them, and then come back.
Yeah.
And I didn't get the population on Summer Tree before we came in here, and I meant to, but, so that's what I call the.
Just to make, I want to make a statement on that, and I don't mind Jack continue to work with those people, that'd be good. But if that line can't, y'all should work an agreement that it's okay, you work over there to help them too, because all the citizens here in Pasco, whether they're in your district or not, I try to help them when they call me.
Oh, I know.
And I think y'all do the same thing. So that line is just a line other than it being your district where you normally look out for those folks and all. You can still do that across lines too, so.
I won't make a big issue to it, but I just wanted to bring it out to make it work.
And so, Mr. Chair, I can go through the other options. I will say, Mr.
wanna make
Gadd's
a
here from the
comment.
school district.
Well, that's why I want to comment.
Yeah, and so they don't necessarily, they did in 2011 adopt the same maps. Everybody adopted the same maps, but that's not necessarily required. But you ought to take that into consideration. It makes it easier. But he is here if you want to ask him.
Well, I made a few phone calls this morning because I wasn't involved in redistricting in 2010 because I was coming out of the school board. And I finally, through texting, because he called me when I was on the phone, got a hold of John Gallagher, and I would say that last time we did redistricting, there was a committee made of 3 county, and I think he told me 3 county commissioners and 2 school board members. And I'm not sure why we didn't do that this year, but I'm just speaking to the Aristida line because we do have a school board member who may or may not choose to run again. Like, I haven't decided if I'm running again next time yet, but we don't want to draw out. I think the rules are you can finish out your term in the district even if you've been drawn out. But however, if you want to run again, then that makes an issue. So in my opinion, it'd be very easy for the school district to bring their line on that bump down to Panicum or take out at Aristida, whatever they want to do, to make sure that the school board member in that district is not removed from her district. So just wanted to put that point out there.
Right. Jeremy's here to check my numbers, but I ran on the Aristida number, and it was like 277 people. It was the population of that census tract, but so not a huge number.
Yeah, and there's a line where it can be made in the neighborhood, or they can take the whole neighborhood. Yeah. That shouldn't mess up everything else for everybody.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
So back then, way back when, there was actually all 5 members of both boards sat together.
Oh, he
in
told
the final
me
meeting.
too.
I mean, it might have been a previous, or it might have been.
But that wasn't
pre-meeting.
2010, no, I don't think.
I asked for 2010.
Was it?
how they
Yeah.
did it. I wasn't.
Absolutely. Steve Lucart was actually worried about what was going on down around the cities and, because one of the schools would be taken out, but they went along with it. It just, they still worked together in the district, et cetera, to say, look, we're gonna still represent, and they did. So I think what we got set up here is, Commissioner Moore, I think your district makes a lot more sense coming over where it's gonna go. Commissioner Starkey, I think way back when, Commissioner Hildebrand was fine with it going all the way out there. She kind of liked that mall, from what I hear.
Crazy, cray.
And I think, Commissioner Oakley, with his great relationship with Zephyr Hills as well, going right in there. I think the tweaks that are being made here are really good.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, do we need to keep looking at maps? I'll make a motion to approve map 1 right now.
I mean,
if
I'm
you,
okay.
Yeah, I mean, you took everybody's input, and you needed a balance. The objective, I think Mr. Steiner could step in, is a balanced population. And then we did this based on feedback. This one looks good to me. I'll make a motion to approve map 1.
Second?
Okay,
And that would be to put that out for public hearing?
Correct.
Yeah.
for this new district lines. Okay,
So-
I got 'em. Go ahead.
Does that mean we'd still consider the few tweaks, or are we just okay with
I'll just
working?
go with the way it is. and
Okay,
there we
so
go.
I'm okay with that as well. I just wanted to make sure I could continue to work on the projects that I was already working on. Thank you.
So you got
So I have a
consensus?
motion and a second to approve, I guess the first map, the preference map.
Option 1.
And we will, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion passed 5-0.
With that, we'll toss it.
So, Mr. Gadd, would you like to step up and speak to the board while you're here?
Tell us how awesome we are.
What I have to say is now irrelevant. But in all deference to Mr. Biles, because I know he worked hard on putting this together. In fact, the county commission and the school board did meet together in a board workshop in August 16, 2011. Back in the early 90s, it was actually our superintendent, Kurt Browning, that had suggested that for confusion with your constituency, that we try to combine the districts so that school board districts and commission districts were the same. And so in 2011, we met. We adopted the same districts. The school board did that by resolution. You've already pointed out in the little bit of discussion you had that one of our school board members has been cut out of District 4 and is now in District 3. Ms. Starkey, I don't think anybody on this board other than Ms. Starkey participated in that 2011 meeting.
No, I did. I wasn't elected. I was a average Joe Blow in 2011.
You weren't a school board member?
No, I had run for the House for 2010 and.
The issue for us, of course, is that we thought it was a good idea to have commission districts and school board districts that were the same. In the past, we cooperated on that. Now we have a school board member, Ms. Crumley, who is carved out of District 4, and therefore the district is going to have to do their own commission districts, and they very well could be very different than yours. I was hoping to have some discussion on that so that our staffs could meet at least one time in the spirit of cooperation, but you've already made that call, and I think it's unfortunate that the school board and the county didn't meet to discuss this issue prior to that decision being made. So,
A question, why does it have to be real different?
is that?
Just be a little tiny,
It'd be
tiny section.
100 houses? Why is that real different?
Yeah, it'd be like, 100 houses.
Well, you'd have to make that adjustment, or we would have to make that
Just
adjustment.
tiny carve of, like, a few hundred
And then
feet.
she's no longer carved out, but the districts are different then. Yeah.
100
Well,
houses or something.
when I looked at it, just looked at it,
But you also have to be aware that none of my school board members have seen this map. So they could make that simple adjustment and then adopt the districts. But I don't know what any of them think about these maps. As I look at these maps, they look okay to me. I don't have major problems with them. But a school board member was cut out of their district. So it will be incumbent upon us to adjust our districts and go through the public hearing process and so forth as a result. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
So-
Ray, before you
Yeah.
go, I mean, I think we lined out pretty good. We've got a solution, so nobody's going to get carved out if you guys can make that adjustment. The changes we've made are pretty simple. If you're really pushing that we want to do another 5-on-5 meeting, I don't mind,
No time.
but timing's critical.
You know, that's
Maybe show the maps and have a discussion, and maybe Mr. Bowles can go with it. And if we need to make some recommendations, make some tweaks back, we can take a look at it.
Well, I mean, if our goal is to keep the districts aligned, and that's may not be your goal, but it has been in the past, and then someone is carved out. So the school board maps would have to be different than the one you proposed to do.
Right, well, we know we've got a situation. Our goal would be to do that in a normal situation. This is a very rare situation
Right.
with two members living in different districts that go. We can accommodate both of them. We can accommodate our commissioner here and hers, and you guys can just make that little bit of a tweak, which would be less than 200 people in a population, depending how much. It's not a big shift, but out of, again, courtesy for the rest of it, if they want to show the map and have a rejection to it, to bring it back to us. I mean,
Biles?
Yes, sir. I just, a couple points. Remember, we got about anywhere from 4 to 6 months less time to do this than we did in, a decade ago because of the pandemic and the census delay in getting everybody the data, not just the cities and counties, but even the state reallocation was, 3 to 4 to 6 months late. I don't remember the exact date. So part of the way we went through this is because of that. I mean, we really just didn't have the time to put that together. So.
I did a little analysis, and I know it's more by population than by schools, but I had this conversation with another school board member. Megan Harding has 12 schools currently in her district. Cynthia Armstrong currently has 14. Alan Altman currently has 19, but Mrs. Crumley has 22. So she has 10 more schools in her district than Megan Harding, so.
And that's actually very irrelevant when you're talking about redistricting, because it's about a population distribution based on the census, not the number of schools.
Yeah, right.
So that's completely irrelevant. My only concern is that it is a little tweak, as Commissioner Mariano says. If we just want to adopt what the county commission has already done, carve out that piece. It's a little bit difficult for us to do because we haven't been involved in the process from the get-go. So none of our board members know what these maps look like and so forth. But listen, I'm not going to beat a dead horse. I've made my point, and I appreciate you hearing me out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Biles?
And just one, separate from that, the agenda memo mentions that the public hearing would be December 7th, but it says date C. That meeting is actually in Newport Richey. We would like to keep the December 7th meeting, but have the public hearing in Newport Richey.
Do you need a motion on that?
Yeah, that's where the December meeting will be in Newport Richey.
Move to have the next meeting on this December 7th in Newport Richey.
Yeah, thank you. Public hearing.
So,
Public hearing.
so you want to direct the clerk to advertise it for a public hearing. Basically, the motion which is in your staff report, except changing the location to Newport Richey rather than Dade City.
Yes, that's my motion.
Got a motion, and did I hear a second?
Second.
And a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion passed 5-0. Okay. That ends the regular items, so we'll move on to old business. Mr. Moore?
All right. We have a video play. I thought this would be fun because we were all there. Obviously on September 30th, we had the ribbon cutting for the new recreation center at Wesley Chapel District Park. I know I don't want to, Commissioner Oakley's probably going to talk about it too, but I want to show the video because they did put a video up. If we could see that. And while you watch this, you'll notice some future NBA players in the video.
I'm not sure about the future part of that.
Well, we can have a senior league for us, over 30 league.
Over 30?
Yeah.
Okay. I fit.
So welcome to the new Wesley Chapel Recreation Complex in Wesley Chapel at the District Park.
3, 2, 1, cut.
This recreation complex is also the largest indoor facility built in Pasco County in a park facility in 30 years.
This is for the entire community. This is what makes Pasco County premier and this park premier. It doesn't matter what it is, it's here for you. We're excited about it. Park and Recreations have done a tremendous job, not only at this facility, but throughout the county, and we're just so happy it's open now.
Yeah, I mean, we're basically trying to encompass everybody and include everybody, all-inclusive programs as well with our inclusive playground.
Obviously, we have a gymnasium. We have 6 pickleball courts, 2 volleyball courts, 1 full regulation basketball court, and then 2 side courts. So that in itself will bring a lot of athletics, a lot of programming for the older population with pickleball. When we go into our multi-purpose rooms, we'll do anything from yoga to fitness classes to toddler time classes. We have Zumba, salsa dancing, so really a wide scale, a variety.
The project is funded by park impact fees, which is driven by obviously development. There's a single family fee per individual home, and all the fees that are collected is basically what we use to build this facility. I think there are essential services that impact the quality of life, and I think it won't take very long for the community in Wesley Chapel to realize how impactful and meaningful these type of services and a complex like this is.
The team has been amazing. They are so excited. You go over there and take a tour. Deanna, Dennis, and the whole crew over there, they cannot wait to showcase this amazing facility for our citizens of Pasco County. Thank you to all the team there.
Great job to our media relations communications office. We're going to watch it again. It was so good. But after I know Commissioner Starkey would have been there, but she was on a mission, actually. I think, a county deal. And I think you were. And you were supporting the county somewhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But what you didn't see is after Commissioner Oakley left, Commissioner Fitzpatrick Mariano had a little game of PIG. We were going to do Horace, but we figured it'd take too long. But we did PIG, so that was fun. But congratulations, everybody. This is, just a great event, and thanks to all the commissioners that obviously supported this and continue your support for that area. I don't really have anything else, so I think I'm done. So thank you all so very much.
Okay, so I've got my 5 photos that are going to be my weekly little thing here, so they can be shown up there. Yeah, of our big challenges. Yesterday at Staff Development Day, my team and we drove around the holiday area, so especially my new assistant Katie could actually see the areas where we get a lot of calls. But here you can see the Amscott on Little Road has received a first notice and a second notice. They've done nothing. The landscaping is gone. Let's see what else we have. Golden Acres on Little Road. That is not premier. That look right there. Okay, next. Here's the Regents Bank at 54 and Little. The Regents Bank at 54 and Little did put in a new hedge. It just went in, so it looks good. We'll have to get you the before. Now you have the before, and we'll show you the after. Okay, next photo. Sherwin-Williams, gone. Nothing. And come on, you can cycle through. Go. Here, I think what's going on here is they took out their trees already. This is on Little. It's like brand new, but their trees are gone. So, and I think the next photo is a problem that's persisting in the landscaping. Those are supposed to be trees. And you will see this all along 54. I think we have one landscaping company in particular that goes around and turns the trees into hedges. And most of the time they're lower than that. I think that might be the new McDonald's on 54. But I just saw a brand new one that just opened that did this to their trees. Sometimes they're little cones, sometimes they're just part of the hedge, and here they're little balls, but that is not a tree, and we need to get this company to stop doing this. Okay.
Are those oak trees?
I have no idea what kind of, I think that is an oak tree, actually.
Because it could be a ligustrum, which is...
No, they're not ligustrums, yeah.
Okay.
But they're not supposed to be doing that. That's against our ordinance.
Commissioner Starkey?
Yeah,
On Little Road, a little bit further up, we've got the Regency Park Library.
yeah. I
I
saw
know
it
we're
in the
redoing I know we're redeveloping the property, but I think at some point we should go put our own shrubs out there to kind of meet our own code. It's been
Yeah.
out there, it's been complained about for many times. We said we're gonna redevelop it, but
I think that's part of the work that will be done.
I understand, but I'm
I
just
agree.
saying, it's out there now. I don't think it's gonna affect the construction that's out there. It sends a better message that we're gonna follow our own code if we do that rather than waiting any further.
And something that I'm trying to figure out is how at the preserve, there's a new CVS, some other new buildings, you'll see it, maybe some of you when you're going home. They didn't put any trees and they're open. So, and this is brand new, fronting State Road 54 at the preserve at Suncoast and 54. So I don't understand how that happened. I've met with Roberto out there and we're researching it.
Many of the new commercial subdivisions are bonding their landscaping.
They're not bonding it?
They're bonding it, and so, which means that you can see it for up to a year.
Okay,
after
well, we
they're-
need to understand, and there's also trees missing internally in there between the green Publix and the other businesses. It's just grass and there's no trees, and no hedge and nothing. So there's a lot of stuff wrong in the preserve. Although our administrator did manage to get some trees planted in there in front of houses. Okay, a suggestion that I have, that this actually came from my staff, and I thought this was kind of a good idea, because you know I have that Harbor South Leadership Council that I put together because I have 117 HOAs and civic associations from Little Road to the water line, and just that square in my district, which takes up 90% of the time in my office, and we are the busiest office in the county. And so we're trying to get, someone from each HOA or civic association to come to a meeting where they meet code enforcement, the sheriff's guys, all our staff on a rotating basis, so they can help learn how to solve the problems in their community. But it's really hard to get that list. And so our staff was wondering what the county thought about having the HOAs, the CDDs, and the civic associations register, have some kind of register with the county, so that we know who those leaders are in those communities. I thought it was a good idea. It would go a long way to helping us, because it's really hard to figure out who's in there and how to reach somebody in that neighborhood. And frankly, you want to be talking to the person who was elected by that community to represent them, not necessarily the loudest, most vocal voice sometimes.
Yeah, that's a great thought, because we do get contacted by people that live within a CDD or HOA quite often, and as you know, especially in your district coming down as well into mine, there's so many CDDs now. And so many of the residents reach out to the county commission, and we have to tell them, sorry, you're within a CDD. There's literally nothing that the county can do. We have no jurisdiction over what's going on there. So we get them constantly in my office. We're coming to go and get, sorry, I can give you my opinion, but I'm not going to give you my opinion. You need to talk to the CDD.
Yeah.
Because they're in charge of your sidewalks, they're in charge of your roads, they're in charge of your drainage, they're in charge of your covenants and all those types of things. I like your idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the next step is to.
It might be
mature
voluntary,
this,
but.
yeah, I don't want a penalty.
Right, yeah,
But,
right. Some
there's
type of registration, yeah.
Some kind of registration. Okay, thanks. I had talked to staff about a potential used car moratorium, and in talking with Mr. Pitos, he mentioned that he didn't necessarily think maybe we needed a moratorium, but that we have a tool to, hey, Derek, can you see if you can send those pictures from the used car lots that we took yesterday? There is a tool within our land development code or our process where businesses when they got their CO, they had X amount of parking spaces. And most of them have just blown through that. And I can show you Gigi's Auto, which we're taking
Sidewalks,
to court.
grass.
They put 3 cars deep in a parking lot that was supposed to have 1. There's no place for a customer to park. There's no way an emergency vehicle could get in there if something happened. This is happening in my district. Jamming as many cars on what used to be a drive-through gas station or something. There's 500 cars on there. And the tool is how many cars are they allowed to park? The problem is I have at least 60 used car lots in that area I told you. and staff is overwhelmed already in code enforcement with what they got going on. So I still think I would like to see some kind of moratorium on used car lots until we have a system where we can police them or, you know, make sure they're moving into a legal place and they know the rules, because they're moving. Every vacant space is becoming a used car lot in the county. And it's coming in your district, Commissioner Mariano. I don't know, I don't drive 301 very often, but I can tell you on the west side, every failed business is a used car lot.
141.
We have some.
And a lot of those people are predatory. So I just, I don't know if I need to have the county attorney pop in on that, because I know you have to be working on a solution to have a moratorium, and I think we do need to work on a solution.
Well, you don't have to be working on a solution. You have to identify a problem and have your staff work on a solution.
Okay.
I mean, you don't have to be currently working on a solution. That's the point, is you've identified a problem, you see that the code needs to be changed in some manner, and then once you adopt the moratorium, you're actively working on addressing that problem.
Okay, so I think we do have a problem. Hopefully I can show you some pictures here, if they've been sent. We've taken Gigi to court, and but he's been in multiple times, but he's not the only one. Are you coming up to speak? Or?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Vitalios Pitos, Planning and Development Department. Just to clarify, the Commissioner noted that there are options available within the Land Development Code, and what I had been discussing was that these sites that are existing in the West Market area, they are generally already planned because they're existing, and so they have a default site plan associated with their property. They have a building, a set building with set square footage, and a parking allotment that is presumably related to the square footage of the building that's already on site. And then what happens is the used car lots come in, the used car dealers, they come in, and then they fill their lot with inventory, essentially, not abiding by the striped parking, let's say, that's on the site. And there's no distinction between the inventory parking and the customer parking based on the square footage of the building. And so what ends up occurring by default is a site plan violation, a violation of what's taking place. They haven't updated their site plan or reprogrammed the site in a way that is compliant with the Land Development Code. And so that's the concept behind what I was explaining to the Commission.
Some of these pictures you're seeing are not the ones where they've stacked them 3-4 deep. Some of these are new ones that have popped up since the last time I drove my district, a couple months ago. So they just really, it's just unbelievable how they pop up overnight. But yeah, I think we have a problem. I think we need to work to a solution.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
If I can follow up with the planning director for a second. So, Terry, is what you're saying the code already prohibits these used car lots that are out that the commissioner's complaining about?
Well, I'm not saying that the code prohibits, because the use as a car dealership is in the zone.
They're currently shouldn't be there because they are not in compliance with the Land Development Code.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't have a proper site plan.
So a moratorium doesn't stop them from popping up illegally if in fact they are illegal. So I think if I'm taking all the input, is the planning director saying a moratorium is not necessary because they already are in violation of the code and there's nothing additional to be done because they're not in compliance. Commissioner is saying that there are popping up every time she turns around, and so it sounds like it's a code issue. It's an enforcement issue, not a new regulation issue.
Well, okay, I'm going to step in here because I'm going to disagree because some of them are grandfathered in, but they have more cars than they're supposed to have. Some of them have never come in for site plan and don't have that overlay that used cars and storage have. some of that, but I think we have to have a discussion of how many cars should be on a lot? You know, what size should a used car lot be? I mean, there should be some standards that we don't have. And I think we should look at standards for these kind of things.
If I might add, there likely is, I'm not personally aware at the moment, instances in which used car lots are popping up in zoning districts that don't allow them because they're simply moving into a vacant building, like the commissioner is noting. So that could be the case in some places where they're not compliant from a land development code perspective because they haven't gotten a new site plan for the site prepared. But it also could be the case that they don't also have the zoning, in which case then they would be a non-conforming use.
Yeah, we have a lot that don't have the right zoning.
Yeah, can I jump in? Can I pile on a little bit, Mr. Chairman? Yeah. Well, I'm going to make just more of a general statement. And so you're bringing up some good points and obviously observations. When we have customers, applicants that come in and they're putting in a new business or they're doing renovations and things like that, I mean, they get dinged on things quite often, and these are good, solid businesses that just may have made a mistake here and there, not purposely, right? They're not purposely trying to circumvent the process. They're not purposely trying to get a tag on something by any means. But we get them. So to me, it's almost like more focus needs to be put towards these areas versus looking. I'm not throwing stones anywhere, at anybody. But I mean, that's a good point because you have, whether it be and I don't want to just say car lots, right? It could be any type of business, essentially a legal business, right? So I think more focus needs to be put on this and helping our good customers through the process. If you're following me, I just think there's too much time and effort. I don't.
What would the action be?
Well, that's what I think. I just think, again, I would love to see, more action taken in situations like this versus some of our, again, small businesses that are, maybe they made a small mistake, and again, not purposely whatsoever, but they're still going to get dinged. They're going to get fined. Their permit's going to get held up. Again, it's part of land development code, but let's work on helping those through and putting the enforcement more on these guys and looking for the little small nitty-picky type of situations on solidly run businesses that I hear from time to time that we got them on. And now I have to work with them and work through the process and get them going again and call Mark and, right? I mean, Andy knows what I'm talking about. We've had a few of those recently.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
And
I'm not trying to ramble here, but
I'm going to tell you, I got a phone call today about a gentleman who's got a great business, doing a great thing, was pulling a permit for something else and got dinged for like 20 other things.
Yeah.
And I got $20,000 worth of fines. I said, look, let's go try to work it through. Our point is we're trying to get compliance. We're going to go through it. So I agree with you, that thing there. When I look at this here, and Terry, you got to help me a little bit. I want to look at this picture and then go back a picture. There's no landscaping there either. All right, so I don't know what the business was there before, or if it was just a house there before. No landscaping there either.
And this wasn't a car dealership before.
Okay, but again.
This is Miles Stretch.
How do we enforce what we've got when this is allowed to happen from the get-go? And I want to say this, with redevelopment, it's going to be really tough.
Like you say.
Because you can't meet all the parking requirements with all the islands. You destroy the business, you destroy the value of the property. We don't want to do that. We want to try to work with it. But I mean, something like that, with a guy coming in, what do you do? How do you write that guy up? What do you say to that one right there?
Well, I think the important distinction is that, to the commissioner's point, is that a lot of these businesses may not be allowed outright to do what they're doing on site. So to answer both of your questions, I think, what's the limit on the number of cars, for example, or what do you do in these scenarios? The question is, how big is the site?
Right.
And we have standards that require certain buffering requirements, certain setback requirements from neighboring uses. And so once we
Let
start
me
implementing
just
those.
stop Let me just stop you for a second, though. When I look at this here, my thing is, it may not have the right zoning, might have the right land use, et cetera. How do you stop that from happening before they can even go? Because if it's the appropriate land use and zoning, then okay, you could come in there, and then if you've got some violations, you can work to go into compliance. But if they're not even in the right zoning or land use, what do you do?
Terry,
So we have,
go along with that,
we have
let me-
one occurring, which is Gigi's Auto, and maybe Sally's gonna come up to talk about that one. So Gigi's Auto also on Mile Stretch, there's like 5 of these now on Mile Stretch. It was a company, it was a nice office building surrounded by homes, the homes are around it, not on right and left, but the guy took TVs, took them apart and took out the valuable stuff in the TV and sold that through the internet. Then he decided he was gonna be an a used car dealer and boat, and he also repairs the cars in his parking lot. And you cannot walk in his parking lot. I can send you that video again, but we have been fighting with him for years, and we had to take him to court. I don't know if you know what's going on, Sally.
Terry, one question I want to ask, and it goes along with what they're talking about, is the fact that, how do we send code out there? Unless code can go out there and know all the answers to their zoning, and how many cars are allowed, and all these things. So how do we send code out without, or who's going to give them that information so they can go and make that?
Good morning,
case?
Commissioner Sally Sherman, Assistant County Administrator for Development Services. Currently, we have a strike team on the 19 area, during the Mile Stretch area, that is doing enforcement on these used car lots. And we, first of all, go out and we issue a warning, taking into consideration what Commissioner Moore is saying. We're letting them know this is not legal, and then after we give them that warning, we give them so many days to correct. If they don't correct, then we go out and do a citation and let them know that they need to come in to get approval. During that time period, the staff is also researching to see if they have an approved site plan, if this is a change in use that they need to come in and get approval for that. So the problem is it takes a considerable amount of time, because each opportunity that you're out there talking to them and citation that you're issuing, there's time limits associated with it. And Commissioner Stark is absolutely correct. By the time we do like a half a mile and we're headed in a direction going down, let's say south, somebody else has come in and put in another used car lot, and we're working with them. We're trying to do as much as we can. It is a matter of resources. We've got David Ingalls involved with regard to trying to help those come in and say, we have grants for landscaping. So there's a lot of effort, but it is a huge problem, and we do have a strike team working on it, and that's trying to get it under control, but we can put more resources. But keep in mind, as we put more resources to it, there's unintended consequences, like just to get them in front of PDD for a site plan review. That's up until now, we're in January, before they can even go to get that done. So we're trying to think of ways, and always listening to the commissioner as far as what's going on and out there, and trying to be responsive. Gigi has been going on for years. They simply will not comply, and it is in court. So our county attorney's office is trying to address it through the court system, but he's still refusing to comply.
This is what's happening. This is not fair to this neighborhood. This was an office. And now, under that, I mean, look at, he's working on a car right there. I mean, it's so much in violation. And they're parking, I mean, it just boils me. I just feel so bad for that area, that this is what they drive to get home.
So
And this is popping up everywhere,
We can't turn our back on it.
No.
But we got to have the answer how to move forward.
But I think we need some standards for what a car lot, what can and cannot be a car lot. the size. How many cars can you park on a car lot?
Within the land
Per
development
the-
code, there are requirements with regard to car dealerships.
I don't think there is
As far as
anything,
parking, landscaping.
I don't think so. I think, you know, we have landscaping requirements, sound requirements, because I helped write that, worked on that ordinance. But I don't believe we have anything that says how many cars can you park in a dealership? And I would say the same with boats and everything.
So,
What is the
Commissioner-
appropriate ratio of
So
land covered with the car?
There are two terms that you're intermingling. There's a parking threshold, but that's customers coming to the lot.
Yeah?
And you are probably correct that there's no coverage of cars
Right.
on the asphalt that we have in the code. I'm not aware
Yeah, I
of
don't-
anything like that. So as long as you're within your setbacks, you can cram as many cars as you can on the lot.
In a way, yes, if I can clarify though. So the land development code has parameters for a parking stall. It has parameters for the width of the drive aisle. It has parameters for a setback, it has parameters for buffers, landscaping, etc. A complete site plan for these types of uses and for really any commercial use is going to meet all of those parameters. What you see in the images, there's no drive aisle in that picture right there. So there's no 22 feet between the back ends of cars. The cars are not parked in 9 by 20 spaces, for example. So an inventory of a car is much the same as customer parking.
I don't know.
The difference is.
Is it? Should it be?
The dimension should be at least the same, because if you park all the cars on your inventory, you must leave enough parking to accommodate your customers. And not only to accommodate them to park them, but to allow them to circulate on the property.
So how do you determine how many parking spaces there should be per auto dealership?
Right, that's really dependent on the size. So if a used car dealer really wants to move into this site, for example, they have to take into account that that site only has 20 parking stalls and he needs X amount for his customers, and therefore he can only
And
park
employees,
15.
right? And employees.
And employees. And therefore he can only potentially park 12 inventory cars on site.
And then,
That's a limiting factor to that site being used as a used car dealer. And then it becomes an enforcement issue. Otherwise, you result in this condition.
well, you know, I want to give every tool possible to make code enforcement jobs easier, because then code enforcement's going to have to be driving by the car dealerships and counting the cars. And I just want it as easy as possible and as enforceable as possible to stop this.
Great landscaping too.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
So I mean, if we look at the situation, a moratorium's not going to change anything, right? We've still got to somehow
Might let
tackle the...
code catch up with,
No, it's
No,
not.
no, but
Well,
because that-
the enforcement part is the biggest issue I see.
yeah.
Right.
And
The-
that's
I keep
what
bringing
needs to
this
get
up,
addressed.
but
No,
we need
and
help.
you're right in the money, and it's a disaster, no question about it. And it's not the way we set the properties up to be from the zoning or the land use. So somehow we've got to deal with the ordinance. If we need to go change the way it's listed, if there's a way to change it for enforcement, to make it easier to make something stick, where you can shut someone down. I mean, I've seen you go in hotels and kind of put red tape everywhere and shut everything down. It's not safe to be. Can you do that type of thing here?
You don't have the same sort of, you don't have,
Can we tell
the
them they
same
have to
life
get?
sa- life sa-
I'm sorry.
Life safety, someone can trip
Well,
over
I
a
don't know,
tire, they can
I
trip
asked the
over
fire
material.
department to go check that if that was a life safety issue right there. There's no way they can get an emergency vehicle in there, in that parking lot.
I mean,
If one of those and those cars are so close to each other, if one catches on fire, boom. So to me, that was a life safety issue right there.
I mean, working on cars in the parking lot as well. I mean, I just got to think, if you can red tag someone from doing permitting work, is there a way to red tag something here about this business is not meeting code, there's violations here that are being addressed, we want to caution you for our safety or whatever? Is there something like that we can go do?
What's that thing in front of the tire?
It's probably an engine.
Is that a transmission?
Is it really? Are you kidding me?
I don't know what that is. Car parts on the driveway.
So, I think the answer maybe that if it's a non-conforming use, yes, you could probably red tag them and shut this business down because it's non-conforming to the zoning district. If they are conforming to the zoning district, you have to, I think the answer is you have to give them a chance to comply. It's a citation issue. You're in violation of the site plan. You need to get a new site plan. If you can't conform to the land development plan, then you need to find a new location. Because, or reduce the scope of your business, essentially. You can't have 50 cars on site. You can only have 15 cars, whatever the number might be, because they're not meeting any of their site plan, land development requirements. And I would venture to say that having no circulation on site would be difficult for ambulatory access or what have you. Or, if the site is totally surrounded by cars, how does a fire truck get up to a burning building?
So the answer is to send code enforcement out to make the contact and start the process, right?
Okay, I've been on that job for 9 years. I have
That's what
spreadsheets.
we've been working on with the commissioner.
Excel sheets and.
I want to make an assumption they haven't won any awards from Motor Trend or anything like that, have they?
No. Well, okay, I'm just, I've only had one shutdown in 9 years, but I'll keep trying to hope that we can keep doing what we're doing and see if it makes an improvement.
I think staff sees they've got full support of the board to address this stronger, and hopefully they can get back with something, maybe some results down the road.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, Commissioner, just for you, if you don't mind, just talk more about your idea about doing something with the HOAs and CDDs. I'm going to have Andy send this to all your assistants and aides. Hillsborough County actually has a neighborhood relations department, and they actually manage those relationships with the HOAs and CDDs.
Nice.
So I'll have Andy send it to all you guys. You can look at that. So as a growing county, we continue, I know your budget's done for this year, but as a county that's growing, this is going to continue to pop up, and maybe we could research what Hillsborough County's doing with that agency, or you can. I'll let you, this is your baby, so I'll let you cradle it.
I just will say Newport Richey has a moratorium on used cars. Used car lots in there. Okay.
The commissioner is correct, that Commissioner Mariano is correct, that a moratorium is not going to stop somebody from opening up an illegal.
Yeah.
Well, they can quickly go and say,
That's where
you don't
you
have to go through site plan, wherever, you can't open up right now. That could stop the workload. That'd be an easier, I'm just trying to help code with their workload.
Do they actually come in and get a license to operate a used car lot? So maybe that's the point we need to question if they have a site plan.
They get one from the state. We had an open house. We gave a notice to all the dealerships in the area to come in. I'm sorry that our staff isn't here. We had like an oak leaf or whatever, a carrot, come in, we'll help you go through the process. Actually, Mr. Gigi came in, and then they decide they don't want to go through the process because they don't want to, and they just keep operating. We did have one guy, if you remember, Jack, that came here that did put in landscaping and go through the process and do the site plan, and he came in here and complained. He said, he's on Mile Stretch and Grand. He said, why did I have to comply? And my friend who owns that one down the street on Mile Stretch has never had to comply. What's going on? So we did have one go through. That was like 5 years ago. But I'm still here with this problem, and it's growing. So that's why I'm coming to the drastic measure of saying no more should come in the county until we have this problem solved.
Yeah. I think you've got our support as a board to work on this with code and do what we can to get these things in line or don't. Okay?
Thanks. All right, I want to say, moving on, go Rays.
Yeah.
Was that some amazing baseball? I'm sad for the outcome, but gosh, it's unfortunate we're not moving on, but that was high drama. And y'all may not know, but I was a back row of that baseball.
Right.
So I've always been, was married to a professional baseball player. So I've always been a big fan of baseball, and I just thought the season would go on longer. But anyway, I'm very proud of our Rays.
Yep.
T-BARTA. Did I bring this up at the last meeting that we don't have an interlocal agreement at T-BARTA with all the members? So, okay, so it turns out we don't have an agreement amongst the counties and the cities that sit on T-BARTA. They have one at the Regional Planning Council. They have one at Tampa Bay Water. And Commissioner Long pointed out the difference, that one is statutory, we're created by statute.
Right.
The other ones are created a little differently. And so we never went to that step to make an agreement. And so we get billed and we pay, but there's no, it's just a like
No,
handshake.
There's no MOU.
And it turns out, I didn't even know this, the city of St. Pete and the city of Tampa that sit on T-BARTA pay nothing.
What?
Yeah, so we've decided that it would be a really good idea if we work on an agreement similar to what the Regional Planning Council has. And we're gonna include the cities in the financial support of T-BARTA.
They want to
And,
sit, yeah.
and it also, I think, will really bring to light the challenge at T-BARTA with Hillsborough County, because they're gonna have to sign what the rest of us sign. And I'm telling you, it's like a stone wall there. Although I have very good thoughts about the new Tampa City Councilman that's joining us, who will fill in for the mayor. He understands that we're a regional board. We're not, because if you remember, I asked the commissioner who sits on T-BARTA from Hillsborough, because she's stopping everything we're trying to do, what is your definition of regional? And she said the regions in Hillsborough County. So that just lays it out right there. So we've all been extremely frustrated with her. And we also have a new governor appointee from Hernando County, and I believe we're gonna get one from Pasco here pretty soon. And he saw it plain as day at our last meeting, and so did the city councilman, that we have a partner who's not thinking regional. And I feel better about what's gonna be coming from T-BARTA. I attended the blessing of the new homeless shelter that opened up on Youth Lane. And it's great to see that we're gonna be able to start helping some homeless families, especially now with what's gonna be happening with the COVID issues coming to an end, with the help from the government. And in driving around with my staff in my district, every intersection on 19 had someone in the middle, walking down the lanes, panhandling, every single one. And then we drove on a private road behind the speedway. Homeless people, we watched someone hitting up with a needle, that's the right word. Homeless people, furniture, everything behind the speedway. Actually chased down a deputy to ask him to go evict him because there's a no trespassing sign. But frankly, he said the jail's too full and they're not really able to do anything right now. So lastly, Amskills had their graduation of their last.
Can we hold on that point for just a second?
Yeah.
Because that is something I've been talking about for a long, long time as well. I had a thought too, maybe these meetings that we have, that the argument's all about the right-of-way, right? So maybe these intersections that are the most prevalent, we take those concrete barriers and we put them dead in. We take all the other concrete around it, line it right there, so literally they either have to stand on that barrier or they're gonna be in the right-of-way.
No, he was walking between the cars at the red light. He
I
wasn't
know.
in the middle.
So code enforcement can enforce our codes about panhandling in the right-of-way, and maybe instead of some of these other things they're focusing on, maybe that needs to be a big focus too.
But you have to understand, they give them a paper, and then they throw the paper away, and they go out at the next light and ask, and
Then let's keep on doing it and doing it and doing it.
yeah, I wish I had an answer.
I mean, if they get enough hassle, they're gonna go away.
But I'm not kidding you, 4 intersections, at least 4 people.
Catherine, I see it in
Some had
Hudson.
2.
I see it in Hudson all the time,
It's
sometimes
horrible.
all around. So to me, let's go make that a focus because that is not good for quality of life. It's not good for those people.
Okay, so, yeah. Amskills had their graduation of their latest boot camp. They had 9 participants, 2 of which were residents of Metropolitan Ministries. And all of them got called back for second interviews from great companies, and I believe all of them are gonna get hired into careers and gonna help our local companies expand. And I wanna thank Touchpoint because they opened up their business and we had our boot camp at the Touchpoint facility there at Suncoast and 54, so.
Excellent, good.
That's it for me.
That's it? For sure.
Yeah.
Ms. Fitzpatrick?
Now that you just said that, I actually want to send a photo about the median, or I can just tell you real quick about the median.
Oh, yeah.
They have
I've got my pictures.
a structure in the middle of their median, so really there's nowhere to stand. So I'll send that over real quick. Okay. So I did attend the sports complex ribbon cutting. That was fun to play basketball with the fellow commissioners. Haven't played basketball in a very long time. So also I would like to mention that I did attend the Ampo Conference last week. I learned a plethora of information, and I could probably talk all day about it, but I'll mention a few. First, I would like to talk about how I had gone on a tour of the tribal lands, and the way that they supported their elders was very meaningful. Their elder population is 55 and up. In this tribal land area, they have 56,000 acres. They have 11,000 people that belong to the tribe. There's 6,000 tribal members that live on their land, and about 10%, so 1,100 of them actually are elders. And I did ask about the longevity and their life expectancy, and men live till about 60 and the women live till about 75. So their elders is 55 and up. Now, if the elder has a bee's nest, they'll go out and they'll remove it for free. If the elders have a leaky faucet, they'll go in to replace it. If the elder's home is so decapitated or they cannot no longer live there and it cannot be fixed, they'll build them a new 2-bedroom home. So I do know in Pasco County, thank you, Ms. Kathy Pearson, we have Meals on Wheels and we have paratransit that will pick up the elderly or disabled and bring them from their home directly to their doctors and where they need to go. So I would just like to make sure that we are doing as much as we can for our elder population and disabled, because I just thought that was heart-touching. Another one, when I was on the tour, I realized in Arizona, in this tribal, in the Mesa area, they have themes. And do we have the photos? No, I just sent them. And if you look at this, in this area, they have about one of everything. So for Dunkin' Donuts and Baskin Robbins, they actually had to put something tribal on their building to incorporate it into their community. And then to the next one, they have Buffalo Wild Wings, and I believe they have, I don't know if we can zoom in, but on the side of the building, they had tribal lines on the side of the building. You can go to the next slide. Photo. Where I thought it was different and interesting to see how everything is color-coded, everything is coordinated to match. Right here on the indoor skydiving, the lines imprinted on the side was the bird's symbol. And then, of course, on the vertical lines, they have the horizontal lines on the vertical side. Next. And also, I would like to see Pasco to incorporate something like this. So they have their tribal and their logos along the bridges. They have iguanas on the side of the bridge as well. Maybe we can incorporate palm trees and things like that. And the next slide. Again, they have their tribal landscaping, and we have our palm trees. And I just would like to know, Commissioner Mariano, I did notice a lot of the palm trees going up and down 19, so that would look very nice. And then Salt River Springs Fields, of course, they incorporate everything into every business, every location that they have there. And then the last photo, if it came through, was in the median. It was a structure in the median to where they can't stand in the middle of the median. And on my ride to the hotel, they actually told us it was illegal to give people standing on the side of the road money. So maybe we can look at, maybe if we can't enforce it to the people on the side of the road, then we can make some jurisdiction or law to prevent people from distributing and giving funds. Another,
Can I touch on that point with you? Because that point was brought up once before, at least once before by myself. And I can't remember what the result was. Mr. Steinschneider, has anyone done that that you know of as well?
Making the driver who gives the money responsible?
That they cannot give, to make it a rule that you cannot give to a panhandler?
We'll have to look at it. I don't know that I've heard of any Florida jurisdiction that has tried that.
Okay, maybe we can even take a look at the Arizona one if you can give them the details on that. Okay,
absolutely.
thank you.
Now I'm moving my voice. So again, I do want to mention, maybe putting palm trees on the side of the bridges or incorporating a theme. Also, they had a lot of companies that offer data collection software that can help determine the number of vehicles that cross a specific point by the Bluetooth capability in their car or their cell phones. And then we can collect that data. And they also have sensors that we can place under sewer lines that can determine the frequency and duration of flooding. And this data can also demonstrate our funding needs when pursuing federal transportation grants. So I thought that was very informative. They also talked about the electric vehicles, the autonomous cars. They actually have had autonomous vehicles for the past 3 years. They have their streetcars that will be starting next year. They've been working on that project for 8 years. They have the light rails and drones. Last thing that I wanted to mention while I was there, I learned a lot more about the divergent diamond and how it will significantly decrease the traffic, because it goes from 2 lights at 8 phases for each of those lights, and it will end up going down from 2 lights to 1 light, and then instead of 8 phases at each light, it's only going to be 1 phase going east and west. And that should be, the original completion date was September 30th of 2022, so hopefully it's done by then. Should be. I would also like to say thank you to Public Works for working so quickly on updating a few safety concerns in Bexley. And also I've been working on a flooding concern along Reynolds Drive. I was out there yesterday, and we were able to work with Swift Mud and the Housing Authority. They were able to expedite my permits to fix it, to get the permit, and so they can fix and get the neighbors relief. I would also like to say thank you to Public Works and staff for working in conjunction with those 2 projects. Lastly, I would like to mention they do have a Back the Blue event this Saturday from 2 to 10 at Gildorks to support our law enforcement. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Mariano?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, I've got a one-time repair for Lakeshore Drive. It's in Hudson off 5A Road. Major potholes.
Did you do that last time?
What's that?
Didn't you dig into our general fund last time?
Yeah, this is a small amount though. This is a road that's, you know, it's just one of those things when years ago it should have been taken over by the county, wasn't. So the fix is $1,650. Public Works has already looked at it.
How much is it?
$1,650.
Is that a motion?
Move approval.
That's a motion.
Second.
All in
Have a
favor?
motion second. All those in favor say aye.
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 You just called the motion,
Opposed,
didn't you?
like
I was a regional planning council, so it's in the blood.
Motion passed 5-0.
Thank you. So, speaking of Regional Planning Council, I was there yesterday, and I want to say, I wasn't pleased with the presentation we got in the sense of, it was all staff-generated. It was something that we as elected leaders, and there's like 22 of us in the room, never got to see until it was presented. They did mention, we talked later on when I talked with Mr. Engel, that they had talked with him about it. He expressed his reservations to it. But it is good for the I-4 corridor. I'm not looking for a vote on it right now, but look at it through lunch, whatever, when we get done, and then let's have a quick conversation about it. Yeah, this program here, because it's something that's going to help the region, and if somehow we can maybe even craft a letter, and David, you can even, if you want to come on up and talk about it for a brief second. This is more I-4 corridor. We're in the I-4 corridor. I want to see if we can maybe take a look at this letter, David, before into business today, because we have to vote on this. Would have to be submitted to them by the 15th of October. But if we can maybe take a look at this, how you'd want to tweak it, just to maybe put the Pasco influence in, or the, including us in the thing, how excited we are about it, it might be better than just what Pinellas County's done here. But do you want to just talk about it briefly, what you learned about it when they presented it to you?
Sure. David Engel, Economic Growth Director. I had a WebEx with the Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council, and they have a proposal with the USF to endorse a SMART project down the I-4 corridor out to I-95. And I expressed a little bit dismay why we didn't get pulled in and discuss a more holistic program. And I think it's a great idea, but I think that we should have been in consideration here, especially along the I-75, 54, 56 area.
Yep. So we can maybe devise a letter of support, include in, it should go all the way to I-75, et cetera, and we can send that off as a letter of support with the caveat that they know when we reach out later on that we want to be in it. All right, so I'll work with David at lunchtime and we'll kind of.
Is there a motion?
Yeah, that'll be a motion.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion passed 5-0.
And
Just, in looking at your list here, the Florida High-Tech Corridor, I know the guy that was there, Randy, I think, retired now, but I will say they sent a letter in for AmSkills
Yep.
to help get us launched.
Oh, yeah.
Very
Randy Barrett,
supportive.
yeah, Randy Barrett's a great guy, but yeah, I don't want to hurt what they're doing. I just want to make sure we get included and we can put the reach in later on when this gets funded. We can say, hey, we were there, we want to be part of it too. At the meeting yesterday at Regional Planning Council, a conversation come up between resiliency, the railway came up again. So we just talked about that at the TMA last meeting, and we're supporting Hillsborough going forward. Now we're trying to get T-Barter included, and happy to say that Carl Miska got a call from T-Barter saying they were asking about the letter of support and getting work, so that's progressing well. Commissioner Cohen from Tampa was very talking about how he loved the idea of doing the rail. He loved the idea, I think, that we did everything. And he brought up the comment about Gandy Boulevard being set up for rail, which I think we had set that up as well for the design of that and the build of that. So I think the regions actually, the councilman from Tampa, I think it's Nitro, he was very positive with it too. So I think we've got some good regional people now talking from Tampa. And I don't think the Tampa folks are just looking at what's going on there. They see the benefit to the whole region. Everybody around it did as well. So as much as Commissioner Oberman wanted to have a workshop, Sean Sullivan from Regional Planning Council is reaching out to her to say, because one of the members brought it up, why don't we have that workshop there?
So I'm glad you brought this up because I didn't bring it up here. But my understanding is, and with Secretary Gwynn and T-Barta and TMA, is that they're looking at having, and everyone needs to put this on their calendar, the December 10th, I think it's a Friday, TMA meeting. They're looking at having that be a big meeting with all the elected officials in the area.
Okay.
I don't know where it's gonna be, but right now everyone's penciling in. I don't go to my calendar, but that Friday in December, that would normally be the TMA, would be the big regional transportation discussion.
Okay.
So December 10th. Yeah, I don't know where it is, some central location, the airport or somewhere, but
They're gonna need a big room.
that's gonna be a biggie. That's
Yeah,
gonna be a really important
this could be one of those monumental ones. Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Had a situation with a former HOA president, no longer there, but still cares about the neighborhood. And he's got a problem when he has put in anonymous code complaints that they still get tracked back to him. The negativity to that will keep him from wanting to do it again or affecting others. I think, the sheriff's department can take anonymous complaints. I know we talked about this a long time ago to anonymous, but it looks like we switched away from not taking anonymous code enforcement complaints.
The legislature
They stopped it?
prohibited
So
your
it can't be-
ability to do it.
All right, so there we have it. All right, thank you.
Put them in.
What's that?
You can call your office and
Yeah, okay.
your office can put them in.
All right.
That's what we do.
So we need
They still can be anonymous if there's a certain caveat. And do you remember what the caveat is, Jeff?
It's got to be observable. So, in other words, if a code officer can go out there and see it for themselves, that's the way you would do an anonymous complaint, is the code officer could go out there.
So our code
Okay.
has to know when they can
Yeah.
make it anonymous and when it
Okay.
has to stay public.
All right, thank you for the
Rather
clarification, appreciate
than
that.
fall on code.
Forgot that little detail that happened up in Tallahassee. All right. And I want to say that Ampo Conference, you know, I think it's a shame that 17 years, I never heard of it. I don't know if anybody ever heard about that conference. It's a lot of technical stuff, but it was also some good visual stuff where you get to talk to the people that are looking back to how they devise how they're going to set the priorities, how they look at the funding and all those things. I think it would have been good to go early in my career. I'm glad I went now, and I'm glad, Christina, you went as well. I told Carl that I thought it was great that he went. He actually brought Scott, one of his staff members, there. The information they get, the networking they do is just like when we go to network with others and learn from others was phenomenal. He's going to probably bring up some ideas to the MPO, what he thinks he can do that might help us up in the coming years as well. So if anybody wants to go, I recommend, it's a good conference. There will be a lot of technical stuff, but there's also a lot of good that comes out of it too that you can learn to see what's going out there. And one of the things that I learned on the train tour that we took, because it was difficult for that region to get together and decide what to do, they've got systems where they got some of the rail is running electric, some running on battery power, and then others are just like microbuses picking them up, et cetera. So getting our regional stuff together for down the road, I think down this rail just really highlights how important that is to get everybody together. So with that said, that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Biles?
Good morning. I won't take up the rest of the time. Just the result of the A&M Alabama game is not the reason I had 2 flights canceled. So just had to sneak that in there. Some good news. We had a chance at the International City and County Jurors Management Association, ICMA, to present kind of our cultural journey over the last 4 years here at Pasco County and how well the culture has changed to now more of a collaborative, customer service based, and how much improvement that's made in our customer service and the results we see in the community. That was so well received. I've already gotten 2 invites to go deliver that same presentation to 2 state associations. So it was a huge hit at the conference. Unfortunately, it was not part that was live streamed, but it went real well. I actually made the same presentation to Alicia Pasco a few weeks ago as well. So a lot of great things going on here at Pasco from a cultural perspective, which results in customer service, improved customer service. So that's one thing. I think we got good news here. We'll get it out to you, but I think that's all I have today, and I'll turn it back over to you, Chair.
That it? Okay. Mr. Town
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I had emailed you all a memo with regard to the Vizzy litigation. That was the skeet shooting range that was out in East County. We did not prevail in that case. We're bringing this forward. Basically, our recommendation is to abstain from appealing the trial court's ruling and direct the county attorney's office to negotiate and/or litigate the attorney's fees demanded by the Vizzies as a result of the trial court's ruling.
Okay. Any discussion?
Could you explain which one that was?
That was the Olympic hopeful skeet shooter.
Oh, yeah.
That they had altered their property to basically create a skeet shooting range for her, and the neighbors were upset about the skeet shooting, the debris that was falling on their property, that sort of thing. But basically, we lost based on the Joseph Carlucci Fire Harness Protection Act that the legislature passed, and the court basically feeling we were preempted from regulating the use.
Wow, that's scary.
You can't. It's weird, but you can't. I get that in my backyard.
Well, the problem that the legislation does allow us to regulate formal ranges, but the court felt that this was not a formal range. So,
And
Are
she
they
had-
still there
and she had
shooting?
built structure there, no.
Are they still there shooting?
I believe so.
And what about the debris that's falling in other people's property?
That's a civil matter between the two property
Yeah.
owners.
Y'all have to take that up in civil. Okay?
So I would like a motion.
Yeah.
What is the fee?
So moved.
Okay, got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion passed 5-0.
The second litigation issue that I have for you all is that outside counsel has asked us for permission for them to file another action with regard to the advertising company that worked for Purdue. City of Pembroke Pines filed a initial action directly. My understanding is that this is, there's a middle district, or a multi-district litigation case. This one is not based in Ohio, this one is based in California. And they've given us to the 15th to either withdraw from, or not give them authorization, or that they will file on our behalves. I would like the board's permission to continue to investigate that with outside counsel and make that determination on your behalf. There are some concerns about how this case will be treated in California. I know Pinellas is concerned about being involved in the case, and we're trying to set up a phone call with the local outside counsel to explain what regional outside counsel is doing on this case. But because this is my last board meeting before that call, I'd like you to defer that decision to me.
I don't even remember what you're talking about. I don't even remember, I honestly don't even remember. I don't know if anybody else does. But.
So the opioid litigation that we're involved in,
Right.
suing the manufacturers, suing
Right.
the distributors, outside counsel has suggested yet another defendant, which is the advertiser for Purdue.
Adding that, okay,
Really?
gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Bringing them
So
into
I
the
was saying, we
family?
never discussed that one. Okay.
No, this is brand new to me too.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. No, we haven't had this one.
Okay, so the motion's to let you continue to investigate. I'll make that motion.
Right.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
A little further discussion as well, if I could.
Motion passed 5-0.
Thank you.
What now?
At the Regional Planning Council, we did talk, we had a little presentation from our attorney to look at what everyone thought about the opioid settlement. The general consensus was no one was happy that we were being dictated exactly how to spend the money. The damages part of the thing was pretty much where people weren't happy with it. So as you go looking further to go down the road, from everyone that pretty much responded in the room, they're going to look to draft something to some type of letter saying, for the future ones, if not even for the current one, we want to be able to use money towards the damages for us to decide how to spend the money that comes to the settlement. So that was just so you know, broad-based with everybody in the room, they all felt that way.
Okay.
All right. Mr. Clerk?
I have nothing to present on behalf of the clerk's office.
Okay, and I'm gonna save mine to the end of the day.
You can't do it in 3 minutes, Chairman?
No, I can't do it. I don't have much to do, so I'll say what I'm gonna say at the end of the meeting today, when we adjourn later. But at this point, we'll recess for lunch break. All right, thank you.